What's up, guys? So I have a question for you. Are you waiting to worship? What's up, guys? So this video has been inspired by a comment on one of my previous videos that was a little alarming. The person told me and said that, man, I wish that I had the intuition or psychic ability to know if a god or goddess wanted to speak to me and want me to worship it and work with them. And I wanted to stop right here and say that don't wait, go worship. Because if you wait, you're going to be waiting a long time, more than likely. We come into Hellenic Polytheism, a lot of us, with the notion in our head that we have to be called by a god or a goddess, that we have to feel that draw, when that's not true. The gods are here and they are always accepting of your prayers. And if you want to worship a particular god you never have before, go for it. You don't have to wait for him or her to say, come to me, before you actually start a prayer. Think about in the ancient days how people had temples all over the land, much like we have churches. People who go to church now don't wait for Jesus to call them before they go to church, do they? It was the same way in ancient days. You had temples, and if you had prayers or festivals or celebrations, you went to the local temple, much like people go to use as symbolism to local churches nowadays. They don't wait for God to call them before they go to a church. They go on their own will, or they're invited by a friend. But when it comes to personal practice, if there's a god or goddess you are wanting to pray with, like I've always loved Poseidon, but I just never have heard from him, or so forth, don't wait to get a sign before you worship a god or goddess. Go ahead and worship them, because they are worthy of worship already as is. And so we just always have to get out of this way of thinking that from the previous spiritualities that we may have come from, or from what we've heard from others. And it's not just Christianity that we come from, being called by a god, or because we always hear preachers saying that they had a calling to do this or that, and then you hear it from not to slam other pagan religions, but you hear other pagan religions. I'm not really a huge fan of calling Hellenic Polytheism a pagan religion, because I think of it as more of a polytheistic religion, but that's on another subject. But you look at the big ones, and you'll always hear a lot of the time that I am a priestess of Diana, I am this or that, when in reality a lot of the times they're just worshipers of the god or goddess. And they would say in other pagan religions that they felt called to this, or they were reaching out to you, these gods, when in traditional Hellenic polytheism, that's not the way it was viewed. It wasn't a calling in the way that Jesus selected you to be the bringer of his word. That's not the traditional Hellenic polytheistic view of traditional. And if you want to be what you want to be as a reconstructionist of the ancient days, it wasn't that way. People were elected into positions a lot of the time for priests and priestess and all that stuff. They weren't called by the gods to do so. But anyway, the moral of the story is that you're in luck, because you don't have to wait for Dionysos or Apollon or Artemis or Poseidon and all that in our dialect. You don't have to go. But before I keep going out and rambling again, good news again. Go ahead and pray, because the gods deserve thankful worship for everything they do. And they don't have to come to you asking for worship, because again, worship is our benefit. The gods are not waiting for our worship. We're just thanking them. Anyway, if there's a god or goddess that you want to pray to, do it. That's the moral of the story. Do not be afraid, and they will listen. See you guys. Bye.